Universal, is that where you guys met? Yeah.
No, we met at Knott's.
And nuts, yeah.
At Knott's. Okay, let's talk about that
Same
for a
same
second.
thing, or were you
Same
just
thing.
riding the rides?
We,
Yes.
yeah, I met her. She came in to do
You're
the
both making jam.
Jason Bieber.
boysenberry. I love my boysenberry.
So I had done, Elvira used to have a show there
Oh yeah.
during Halloween.
Yeah.
And I had
Haunted
done,
Hayride.
is that what it is? No, she had
No,
like
no,
in
no,
the
it was-
theater, she
She had a
had
show.
a singing dancey show. And so I had done it the year before, and I was promised it that next year. But the promise was broken. And to kind of save face, they offered me the stunt show, which was in the center of the park during Halloween. And so I accepted it because I kind of had blocked my time out to do it anyway. And even though it was a little, for me, it was a little like, okay, like I didn't really know too much about stunt performers or stunting at all. And I was, you know, in my little comfortable place in the theater. So I was like, all right, okay, I'll try it, sure. And at that year they needed Macy Gray, Halle Berry, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
and somebody else I can't remember. And then I was like, I get to learn how to do stunts. Go on.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh well. I was playing Freddy Krueger, and it was the hanging show. So if anyone listening knows about it, you know how big a deal it is at Knott's Berry Farm during Halloween.
Does it still exist?
It's called Not Scared Farm. It still exists. These
The
shows
hanging?
these shows don't exist anymore.
That's what I meant.
No.
The show.
No,
Yeah,
these shows.
I don't think it could exist now.
Well, it's not that long ago. It's only been 2 years, but it lasted for a long time.
Oh.
And The Hanging was a show, a parody show with stunts in it. And we, at the end of the show, they always hang someone very popular, whoever the big celebrity was that year.
Ooh.
I know.
So,
Why
and
would a
then-
black
so
person do that show? I
it's-
didn't
it's-
even think
it's-
about it.
Ooh.
It's blood bags. It's blood everywhere. It's a lot of stunts, a lot of fighting. People are falling off the stage. Huge hit. I mean, I did Ryan Seacrest, you know, one year, and he
You
talked
can
to me-
hang Seacrest.
and he talked to me on the radio. He's like, do you look like me? I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, why? I don't understand why you're hanging me at the end of the show. And I said, well, it's almost a compliment. And the way the show is written is like whoever's the most popular person that year is typically the person that's going to be up on the gallows at the end of the show. And he goes, I don't see that as a compliment. And you know, he didn't seem too thrilled about the whole idea of it. I get it. I totally get it. But anyway, so that's where we met. We met doing this Halloween show, and
I didn't know what he looked like we had rehearsal for like 3 weeks, and I really didn't know what he looked like. He
I was
just made
Freddy
me
Krueger.
laugh.
So
And he had to go into makeup super early. So he would actually come to rehearsal already in makeup.
Oh
And
man.
he made me laugh so hard. Like I was like, this dude is so funny. It's too bad he's married.
And terribly, horribly burned.
You were married?
I was married when we first met. Yeah.
Shut
Oh.
up.
So we met as friends, and then I think it was 2 years later we met again.
Huh.
Well, no, I did the show for 2 years because I'm a glutton for stunt punishment, apparently.
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 And the next year I came back, he said, hey, guess what? I'm not married anymore. She moved away.
Subtle. Way
Real
to be
subtle.
smooth with it. Just
She's-
let that
she's-
just.
I think
Put
she's
that out there.
paraphrasing. That did not go that way at all.
Everyone remembers their
In
own
my
love story
head.
differently.
Right.
That's true. You could get the two people to say the same story. It's going to be different.
The tame
Especially
story.
the tape. Hey, it was a good tape. But yeah, I was married, and then
And
it
then
was
you
the most,
were.
no, I wasn't. It was a pretty amicable. It was the most amicable breakup in history because we went to dinner, me and my ex, and we went back home, and we both just sat on the couch, and it was like, this isn't working. No, it's not. And she wanted to go back and live in Arkansas, and she wanted to marry a farmer, and that's what she did.
Oh,
And
there's a show called
Mary, I
Farmer
want to
Wants a
marry a
Wife.
farmer. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Farmer wants a
wonder.
wife. Yeah.
and for
Farmer
sure,
wants a
like
wife.
she went back. I drove her back home to make sure she got home okay, and met her mom. And me and her family, we still talk. her
filled
mom,
out the return paperwork.
I mean, you know, I did talk to her for a while, but you know, it got weird when she got remarried, and it's like, yeah, he's not cool with this. I'm like, okay, then I'll just back away, and I get it. And it's all about, it really was genuinely all about what makes you happy. If you're not happy here, not happy in LA, and I felt guilty back to like this business. I felt like I was dragging her through the muck of my dream, and I didn't feel fair. So it was actually a relief to know that you go be happy, and this is what you want. And I'm glad you got all the things that you want, because now I can do it at full steam ahead without feeling like I'm dragging someone through this unwillingly. And I always hated that feeling. And then to meet someone like Fredericka, who we shared the same interests, and you know, she talked about me being funny. She was funny. We loved the same things. We both had the same sense of humor. And I'm like, wow, she gets me, you know. And then we just stayed friends, and we're still friends.
To this day.
Yeah.
I
With
mean,
a baby.
with a baby.
It's a lot easier to be friends when you're in a different room. So
Do you feel like, since you brought up the baby, do you guys feel like you are full-time parents and actors on the side?
yes.
Just to FYI, like,
Yes, for her.
I do. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought about it like that, but for sure, yeah.
yeah, all of a sudden you're like, when people ask me what I do for a living, I am like, I am a parent, but I also have a job.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's a weird I don't know. Yes.
And that's when gifts of support, like sending Richard to acting class, back to acting class.
Yeah.
It's not just you and me. It's you and me and another makes three. And everything we do for ourselves, there's always going to be a part of us that feels like we're taking it away. Like, I don't feel like I'm taking anything away from Jaime. I never did. But ever since Jack came along, anything I do for myself, I feel like I'm taking it from him a little bit.
Aww. I don't
get
feel
that.
like that. Aw.
You don't? No. You've given enough. You've done well. You two, the ladies did do the heavy lifting.
Here's when I did feel like that. I mean, I don't know if I told you guys, but I broke my ankle in January.
Oh yeah,
I
you
didn't know
said,
that.
oh my God.
Yeah, and so I've been on house arrest since January 26th, and
Yeah.
it is the absolute worst feeling in the world. And
It's almost June.
uh-huh.
Are you not healed?
I am healing. I'm healing. I had to have surgery
Oh my
at the
God.
end of February because
Her
of
ankle, dude.
not because
I
of the
get
break,
it,
but
but
because of
It
ligament.
wasn't just
I
a
had,
break.
yeah, I had an unstable fracture.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
there was lots of
God.
ligament damage. My deltoid ligament had to be repaired. And so now I'm bionic on my left ankle.
Ooh.
So there's a perk.
That's fun.
But right? But
Ching, 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 ching.
spring break was April 4th. So April 3rd was the first day that I did not have crutches.
Wow.
But I was in a boot. So it was the first day that I became like kind of ambulatory, and then the next day we flew to Memphis for spring break. But during that time, it was just like, I mean, because we're so independent. We're so, we just do, and we go and we do whatever. And I had to depend on both of them like completely for almost 4 months. And even though there were a couple of occasions when we would, argue about stuff, because who doesn't? We're both stressed out about different things. Like I couldn't, and I haven't told you this, like I couldn't have asked for anyone else to take care of me the way you did.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I love
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
I love you
remember-
individually, but I also
Look,
I love you guys.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm gonna say this, and we can edit it out. During Boom Chick Boom, when I joined, because this sticks with me always too, because I thought it was such like an immeasurable amount of love and respect for your partner that Freddie showed. We had this episode. We wanted a sketch directed and like done. And I had said, well, what about Richard? Because Jason and I were broken up too at the time, I think. And I said, well, what about Richard? Isn't he a director? Doesn't he do stuff? And Freddie was like, he has in the past, but it is not good for him. And I am not going to put that pressure on him because he will say yes if I ask him, and that's not fair. And like just the respect she had for you and how like a previous experience doing it for this particular group had made you feel that she wouldn't put that burden on you again was such a significant moment of like, oh, that's a relationship. You know, like to me, that spoke like volumes of how healthy your relationship is, you know, and how sincere.
That's really sincere, and thank you. And that's a learning experience because we did go through trials and a tough time because of some of those things. We've taken lots of acting classes together, more than one we've taken together.
Jason and I, same.
And we knew people in relationships who, by the way, are still together, but could not take acting classes together because they just couldn't do it. And then helping her write sketches or helping her direct certain things, direct a short film. I carry some resentment because I didn't feel like I got credit. I didn't feel like there was a lot of things involved. I think it caused stress to the relationship.
You didn't feel like you were heard.
Yeah, but even between the two of us, I'm like, well, this is unnecessary stress, and maybe some of it was me. You know, a lot of it could have been my own insecurities, could have been whatever that is. She recognized it. It took a while. It took a while, but for her to recognize and go, you know what, this is going to cause some unnecessary stress. He'll do it, but he might be difficult to live with during this time. I don't know.
So it was selfishly motivated.
Well, I'm not.
I don't want to deal with Richard when he's directing this.
We're not gonna do that.
If you guys can put me up somewhere for this time, sure, you can have him.
Right.
Well, I will say, Jason and I were writing partners before we did production together, and there were times that it was tenuous. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Oh, that's a good word.
That's a good one.
And because I work a very specific way, and he works a very specific way. And you know what, artists are sensitive. What? So like when I'm very matter of fact, like that doesn't work, and he'd be like, yes, it does work. What do you mean my words don't work? And you know, it was very personal, but it's not personal. It's not.
Yeah,
so
right.
Once we got past that, it took us 2 years, I think, writing together to get past about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We had to take time off. We were like, we can't write together. Like we're not going to do that again. But then we did, because I was like, nobody can write this with me but you. And we figured it out, like what our rhythm is together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, you know, everything's possible. Once you figure out your rhythm with someone, like anything is possible.
Yeah. Well, you described it better than I did. I might have been a little long-winded with that. I wasn't trying to say that Freddie was being selfish, but not including me because well, Jason said that, and that's not what I was saying.
Oh, I didn't even hear him say that. No. I thought she respected you so much.
Yeah.
Like I've done that for Jason. Like people will be like, can Jason do this? And I'm like, he could, but he's not going to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're not even going to ask him. But I learned
These
that
were
lesson.
mostly shirtless gigs they were inquiring about.
Well, yeah. But yeah,
You'd
I mean,
have done that.
That's
You
why
like
she turns them
shirtless
away
gigs.
before they get to ask me. Like, don't you? He'll say yes, and then that'll be out there. Guys, we have so many like things that I want to get to.
Yeah.
and I don't wanna
I know.
miss.
I know. You're the glue that's kind of like bringing us back on the tracks again.
Always.
Jason.
I gotta do it. I don't
know.
care if this is a long episode, but it does have
because
to
we have
end
2 people.
someday.
So, yeah,
And then
right.
you got to edit it. I know it's a lot of work for you on the post end of it too, when you have to edit all that stuff out and trim stuff.
Who cares about that? What I care about is that Freddie was once a math and biology tutor with the No Child Left Behind program.
Yes,
and I have not heard a word about it yet.
And yeah, you may not. So it was an attempt by two presidents.
George Bush.
Yeah, 2 presidents ago. I don't know how many presidents.
George
I
W.
can't. Actually, I should be able to say his name because I can't say the one we just had. It was an attempt by George W. To get everyone on the same page, kids on the same page that were struggling in certain areas of education. Yeah. So I don't know how I heard about the program, but I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And, I really like math and I really like biology and I really needed a job, a side hustle, as it were. So where did they go? Did they not care?
They were like, oh, it's Freddie's turn. Let's leave.
Oh, that's okay. I will tell my story.
Tell your story. I'm here. It's you and me.
Yes.
Just keep it right here.
So I applied for the program and I got accepted. But what they didn't tell me is that I would be driving to these people's houses. Like they didn't come to like a center and I just helped, right, or at a school. No, this was all in-house, and it could have been anywhere. I had sometimes I had different kids each week. And so I didn't really get to form any type of relationship with some of them. A couple of them I did. But for the most part, I could have been driving to Panorama City. I could have driven to Gardena. It's actually not unlike Postmates. They didn't tell you where you were going until you were.
This is for the tutoring?
Which, by the way, you also did driving for Postmates, which we also did.
I did. I started with Postmates kind of early on, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was before I stopped right before I got pregnant. So I think after I gave birth, they put a whole bunch of different restrictions on it because I actually looked into doing it again for a little bit when Billy was a baby.
That's when we did it. That's when we did it.
That's when you did it?
Yeah.
We did it because we were already driving around to put Jack to sleep. So we're like, we may may as well have a destination.
Why not? Might as well make money doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, when I say I enjoyed it, I might be exaggerating just a slight bit. It was cool. What I really liked, like when I remember specifically during the Super Bowl, one Super Bowl Sunday, it was raining really, really hard. And so nobody was out. I think I made like $600 just in that day.
Yeah, you did.
Because I did it from like 10 a.m. to like 4 or 5 p.m. And I requested, at that time you could request where you wanted to stay. So I was like, I only want to do from Studio City to Woodland Hills, and that's it. And I made so much money. And it wasn't even that I did so many deliveries at that time. It was just that they were tipping and they were happy because it was raining and you used to get like all these little things, all these little
perks. It was big orders because it was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You were a catering company.
I was literally a catering company.
I remember.
They're not all like that though.
No, because I remember one that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It made me so mad. We had to go from Eagle Rock. We were in Highland Park, so that was fine. And we went to Eagle Rock, and we ended up having to go into the hills of like La Cañada, and they didn't tip. And I was like, are you kidding me? We are never doing this again.
Well, here's why I stopped. Because like I said, like they changed their rules, and I did it. I tried to do it for like a day or two, and I got we were living in Encino, and so I got an order for Chili's, and there was a Chili's in Encino. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, this will be close. I go to the Chili's in Encino, and it's like, no, that's not. We don't have. The other Chili's is in like Redondo Beach.
Oh, fuck.
And that's where it was. And
you didn't do it though, did you?
I probably did.
Yeah.
Because I already accepted it, and you didn't have that's what it is. You didn't have a choice once you accepted the order. And I saw that it was Chili's, and I accepted it because I thought the Chili's was right down the street.
Yeah, you're thinking like, oh, the algorithm wouldn't send me.
Right.
To Redondo
They
Beach.
sent me to Redondo freaking Beach, and I was
That's
like, and then
ridiculous.
but the person was in Encino,
Oh God.
so it was
There.
like, go down there and then
What?
bring the order back to it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no hope for a positive rating or a tip because the food couldn't possibly be warm coming
No.
from like
Nope.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was horrible. But what I did
Wow.
like sometimes, here's something that was really fun. Like sometimes my last order would be at my own complex. So that was fun.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, all right.
I love that. Yeah.
That's the ones where you're like, oh, this is easy. I should do this all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember
Now,
my
Richard, you had
Oh,
some car-based jobs as well that we wanted to talk about.
yeah.
Yeah, I was a limo driver for a long time.
That's
wild.
crazy.
Chauffeur
Here in
yeah,
LA,
Here in LA, and
crazy.
I
was it like a standard limo like we think of from the '80s, or like
Or
the new like
Hummer
Hummer
limo?
limo, or like
No, it wasn't anything. It wasn't like a fancy party limo or anything like that. It was your standard like Lincoln town car
Yeah.
or a Lincoln extended limo, and depending on the event, just a little behind the scenes, you would go in and you had to wear a suit, and
Did they
That-
provide the suit or
no, you had to get your own suit, and you could see variations of guys who slept in their own car and their suit would be wrinkled. And then you would see, someone who maybe can shave and wear a nice tie. And of course, the people that are dispatching or own the company, it was called BLS, Black Limo Service. At the time, they're not going to send one of those,
the schlubs.
yeah, to go do a good event or to drive someone that is maybe a bigger tipper or a red carpet event or anything like that. So I got some good gigs, and I got in pretty good with the owner.
You kept it tight.
I did. I think I had a good day one time where the owner needed to go pick up another car, and I just happened to be the guy there that drove him. But you would get there and you just wait for your car. So you pretty much would sit in a room with a bunch of other guys. A lot of limo drivers are writers. Something else that might scare some people here, but this is the truth. A lot of limo drivers are ex-cons. You wouldn't.
Isn't it probably? That doesn't surprise me because I would think that
Really?
they don't have to do much of a background check, right?
Yeah, but it's amazing. Like there was a
Clean
guy.
driving record.
Clean driving record. There was a guy who went to prison for counterfeit money. And I mean, it seems like he's not like out there shooting people. He's not like he didn't kill anybody, but he's still an ex-con. And then also on the positive side of that, there was a lot of limo drivers that come from sober living communities, which I thought was wonderful. So there was a lot of that as well. But you just if you're Warren Beatty.
I don't know about getting in a limo with the driver who's an alcoholic.
But that's the thing is like you don't know who your limo drivers are sometimes, and
That's terrifying.
it's amazing that these guys that I happen to know a lot of who their background is, and then they'll go to the Oscars or they'll be driving somebody, and I'm like, man, those people don't even know who you are. Like you just they're a limo driver, but
And they're just doing blow in the back.
you never know because Snoop Dogg,
temptation.
I picked Snoop Dogg out, and it was a rush one time, and they say, Rich, take the limos, take the stretch, and you're going to LAX, you're going to pick up Snoop Dogg. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it was on the curb. I didn't, because you have to stock your own. That's the other thing too, a little behind the scenes, is you have to stock your own limo with drinks, with whatever it is you want to give them in the back. You do it. You keep the receipt for gas. You keep the receipt for anything in LAX. You keep the receipt for any treats and snacks you put in the back. But I didn't have time to stock it.
You get reimbursed.
You get reimbursed at the end at your paycheck, right? So you if you have to get ice to put ice in the cooler, you have to buy that out of your money, and then you get reimbursed during the paycheck. But they said you don't have time to stock it; just go to LAX. So I get there. Of course, he comes out with entourage, and this big dude leans in the back, and there's nothing in the back. He goes, "Man, you don't have anything back here?" And I'm trying to explain it to the guy. I'm like, "I got rushed here, like I didn't have time to stock it." And he's like, "Man," and he's so mad, right? And then Snoop gets in with his buddy, and the big guy that got mad at me hands him a cigar box. So I'm driving along, and they open up the cigar box, and they get a razor blade, and they're cutting open the cigars because he just got off the plane. So he has weed in the cigars. So he's pulling the weed out of the cigars. Sorry, Snoop, if you're listening. I'm giving some personal
That's
shit.
amazing.
I don't think he's as subtle today as he may have been back then.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
right. I mean, we all know he's a smoker, but I have a folder, right? So I had a folder that I logged all my drivers on, and on the outside of that folder, I drew this sexy, like, heavy metal type of, futuristic woman holding a gun, a blaster. And he's like, yo, you got anything I can roll some of this weed on? And I got this folder. And so he's looking at my artwork, and he's like, man, did you draw this? I'm like, yeah, that's I'm an artist. I draw. And then we started talking, and he's like, I'm looking for a new album cover. And he gave me his card, and I drove him to his house. Before I got to his house, I stopped at Burger King because they got high the whole time. And
Sure.
he's like, he goes, yo, can you go in and get me a Whopper and some fries? So I pulled a stretch limo inside of Burger King in Diamond Bar. I walk in to buy him Snoop Dogg, and there's all these young kids out there, right, in the Burger King, like, and I'm like, if you guys had any idea who's out there in that car right now, you would lose your fucking mind. So I get him the Whoppers and the fries, and he was totally cool. And I dropped him off at house, and he gives me his card, and he's like, hey, send me some artwork. And I did, I drew like what I thought an album cover would look like. I did him like a superhero with, like, instead of throwing stars, it was like a pot leaf, and I put a dog paw on his chest instead of a Superman logo. And I thought it was pretty bitchin', right?
Yeah.
It got returned because to them, it's just unsolicited material. So they don't know that I had a personal one-on-one with the guy, nothing ever happened with that, but that was a funny experience. But as limo driver, I got all kinds of stories when it comes to that, LA runs or red carpet events or just going to pick people up you don't even know. Sometimes you're surprised when you go to pick somebody up because they don't tell you who it is, like Robert De Niro or Sigourney Weaver. Matt Damon was doing, this was how long ago it was. He was doing The Talented Mr. Ripley. And I pick him up. I go to the place he's doing a photo shoot, and they're wrapping it up. And he was cool. He's like, hey, look, we're wrapping up. We're having some drinks. I'll just come out this door in the back. And I'm like, cool. I'm parked right outside. And he's like, okay. Well, he didn't come out that door. I'm reading. So I got my little book, and I'm just reading and looking at the door, and I'm waiting for him to come out. And he doesn't come out that door. But when he does come around, he comes around the side, and he taps on my window, scares the shit out of me. I'm like, oh man. And he's laughing.
Like apples?
Yeah, up against it. You like apples? How you like them apples? So he's laughing, and it was, anyway, it's just so many wonderful experiences, really, being a chauffeur. There was a few obviously stressful nights, stressful days, trying to be somewhere on time or whatever it is, or getting lost. Do you
ever have conflicts with like auditions or acting jobs, like where it's like your day job and your
yes.
passion kind of?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that was one of the great things about being a chauffeur was very similar to being a waiter. There's plenty of guys or girls who would cover your shift. Mm-hmm. And you go, hey, look, I can't make this shift. I'll work your shift on whenever, or I'm willing to cover you whenever. And it always worked out that way. And that's the other great thing about doing theme parks. You get complacent. You're able to kind of fulfill a little bit of that performance thing.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was a very flexible job. You could always get somebody to cover you.
Yeah, shows are always multicast.
So there was a benefit to that as well, and they didn't have to wait tables to do that kind of stuff.
It's also like the De Niro line in Heat, which I'll paraphrase, but like, never have anything in your life that you're not willing to walk away from. Never have a day job you're not willing to walk away from in 30 seconds because keep your eye on the prize.
That's right.
Don't get wrapped up in the job or the benefits or like all those things where they keep you,
Yeah,
it's true.
And speaking of Heat, and it's a small world. Talking about, we talked about Natasha earlier, and you guys came to that and not knowing that it was one of her events. And I got to become friends with the guy from Heat who was the armored truck driver. His name is Rick Avery, the guy who can't hear, the first guy that gets popped. Mm-hmm. And he's a stunt coordinator, and he's Robert De Niro's stunt double. And it's just a small world because doing gigs after gig, and then you find out meeting people along the way that are connected to this and connected to that. The very first, Rick Avery's his name. He wasn't the first stunt guy I met. When I moved out here, I got on a show as like a featured extra. It was a hostage situation, and I met a stunt guy there, and I started talking about the business, telling me what I need to do, what it's all about, and his name's David Huggins, very nice guy. Years later, I got to work for David, and then David started hiring me. He hired me to paint his house, like the outside of his house. When you guys shot,
I was going to say, fun fact.
You directed that piece at their
Rhymes
house.
with Spielberg.
Our pilot, yeah.
Yeah. When you directed that up off of Aqua Dulce, that was David's house.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
okay. So that's a big house.
Yeah, it's a big house, and he was the very first stunt guy I ever met out here in Los Angeles, and then I wound up becoming friends with him and meeting him later. And he created a decelerator that slows people down when they're falling. It's connected to wires. He rigs all the stuff for Mission Impossible, all the stuff when Tom Cruise was outside of the place in Dubai. That was him. That's David's work. So anyway, I got sidetracked there, but it's just a small world and the interconnected and how if you really want to pursue this stuff, you're going to meet people along the way because it's possible. And I'm still doing it, I'm still struggling, still trying to find jobs, still hustling. I still do wood burns. I'm trying to do a pop-up paint and sip. I did my first paint and sip last Friday.
That's awesome.
There is no try. There is only do. You are doing it.
I'm doing it.
And you had some very special wood burns you wanted to share with us.
Sure, I absolutely do. I have a very special one here. And since we're talking about making that paper and what this hustle is all about, I made one here for Make That Paper podcast.
That is so insanely cool.
I want to put that on a t-shirt now.
We got that.
I want you to burn that on my shoulder.
Tattoo.
We got that rubber band around that wad of cash. Make that paper.
Make
that is
that
so dope.
paper.
Is it coming in backwards or is
no?
that?
That looks perfect.
I don't know. Look.
Okay, great.
Not to me.
Okay, good. Awesome.
No, it's totally
So
straight.
I'll sign the back. I haven't signed the back yet, or I might put my logo on the back like this.
Yes.
Oak Moon Art. That's my logo there. So it's on Instagram. Thanks for letting me plug that right afterwards.
Well, what I think is so cool is that your side hustle now is your art.
Yeah.
Supporting you while you I don't want to say gig for acting roles, but while you seek out that full-time on set, not recurring, but lead on a show, series regular. Thanks, Freddie. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I think that's amazing, and that's what we strive for, right? Like, I don't see my teaching. I teach the industry, and I teach writing, and I teach podcasting. That is like fulfilling in a way that blows. I love it so much. And I get to bring my students on to be interns. Like, we have 2 interns starting, and they were my podcasting students. Which is amazing. They're interning this summer. But like, when you can do a job that is your passion, that supports your other passion of working in the industry, you've made it.
Such a win-win. Such a win-win.
That's true. I count my blessings about that. I am really grateful for that. Yeah.
Well, some of the best advice I ever got that I didn't follow was, they asked me, when you've done everything you ever hoped to accomplish in acting, when you have reached the pinnacle of your career that you dream of, then what do you want to do? What else? What's after that? And if you can answer that, like, why wait? You've got time. You're not doing, while you're making the acting thing happen. What else do you want to do? Do it.
Yeah. That's it. And sorry, Freddie, but both of those things, both of those occupations are art forms.
Yeah.
You're always going to get better at it, right? So there's always so much to learn. So it's never ending. I'm always getting better. I'm always learning new techniques with my art, and I love it.
And Freddie, teaching dance, you were teaching Zumba and dance.
I was, that was really fun. I did that I taught Zumba for 10 years. And I got into it. And I got into it because I love dance. I specifically love Latin dance. And I had taken a Zumba class and I loved it. And the girl that I took from, Deanna, she's still one of my dearest friends to this day. And she kind of helped me learn the format of how, to do Zumba classes. And I did the certification, and I did it and I loved it until I didn't. And when I didn't, I was like, hey, it's time to move away. Now you probably won't ever catch me in a Zumba class. But
well, now on a healing broken ankle.
True, that part.
mean.
But yeah, no, it was really, really fun. And I got to connect with people that otherwise I wouldn't have ever met, people that are, I don't know, other teachers, dentists, whatever, just other professions that we don't always meet being in entertainment.
Yeah.
And these ladies are actually, some of the people that have donated for my short film.
It's amazing.
That I'm going to be shooting next weekend. Well, I don't know if it'll be next weekend by the time this airs, but yeah, first weekend in June, I wrote a short film. And
congratulations.
Thank you, to honor my daddy. And we're shooting it June 3rd and 4th. And
that is so exciting.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. And
are you directing it also?
I'm not directing it. But as it's been quite an experience being a solo producer. I mean, because we've done stuff together, I've produced things with other people, but doing it by yourself, it's like, ooh. It's a lot, and but I love it, and I love this process of it. And at some point, I really do need to take that hat off and learn my lines, because even though you wrote it, doesn't mean you know it.
Yeah.
But like Richard has helped a lot. He's doing set design for the film, awesome. And I was just even asking him, from directorially or writing, like he really helped me with a rewrite that I had to do. And sitting around with a broken ankle, you're just like, okay, well, what is the purpose of this downtime, this unintended downtime? And I was like, if I don't get it done now, I need to get it done, because I wrote the first draft 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I think, I didn't really touch it because it was really close to home. It was I wrote it during a time when I was really just wanting to be with my daddy and wanting to remember us and our relationship. And now I can, I'm detached from it, but it's still part of me. But I can look at it more objectively. And I have a fantabulous director, Keena Ferguson. She's really, really wonderful. And we've been friends for a long time. And so I'm really happy that she's signed onto the project. And and it's called Always.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
That's so great. I'm so sorry. I muted myself. I kept saying that's awesome because there's somebody weed whacking.
Oh,
It's like muting it. That's so great. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad that you're putting your stories out there. Because you have so many beautiful stories.
Yeah. And to use that downtime that she had, you can't slow her down. She's like, okay, I'm healing with this ankle. I'm gonna be creative. I'm gonna put some work into it, and that's the silver lining to it. And now she's gonna see it through. It's great.
Downtime becomes uptime.
That's
and
it.
And that's actually a lot like what I was talking about before with like the career that you want after your career.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like we've got downtime in these artistic careers. We always have downtime. We always have, whether it be the year between jobs, the strike, or just the 2 hours in your trailer before you go on set.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I remember a story about Damon having a callback and them calling him into the room. And he said to the casting director told this story. He said to the casting director, can you take the next guy? We've almost got this scene right. Well, this scene is Good Will Hunting.
Wow.
And he and Affleck are writing it in the waiting room, waiting to go in the audition. Like, we find these pockets of time where, we could sit around, we could shoot the shit, we could get fat and lazy and tired and lethargic, or we can go and fill our time and always be doing something, whether you're sitting in the limousine waiting to pick up Snoop or sitting at home with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
We make things and we
That's
never
it.
stop.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to point out that 6 years is not very long. I am currently with an agent, and we're traditionally publishing my first novel, and it takes a really fucking long time. And she's just like, trust the process, Jaime. Trust the process. And I'm like, why does it take? Can we do it before I die?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Trusting the
I
process
actually
doesn't mean liking the process.
I remember Tasha
Right,
talking about
that's
that
right.
before Grace came out.
Oh, she and I have the same agent.
Oh, okay.
So long.
Man, and that has to feel long for
Oof.
you.
Yeah.
I mean,
my
it
God.
sounds long, and I guess, go, okay, that makes sense. It takes a while, but for you to be on that side of it going, but now.
But the book's
now.
been written. The book is written. But the book's
Yeah.
been written.
Right.
Nobody
The second book won't feel like it's taking as long. It probably won't take as long, but it also
won't,
won't
'cause
feel like it's
It'll be
taking
wrapped
as
up in
long.
the deal, and they'll be like, where's your book? Where's your book? Where's your book? Where's your book?
Right.
And you're like,
Yeah.
So, but there's always the waiting, and there's always the, we could sit around and complain about why we haven't made it, or why we're not getting the auditions, or why, we didn't end up as a series regular, right?
Yeah.
By this time. But those are all things.
Or even why we're not doing that anymore. Like, there are plenty of people who were series regulars.
Oh, right.
And now they're not.
Right, exactly. But instead, it's just like, as human beings, we're all storytellers by nature anyways. That's just our superpower. Like, everybody has a superpower, and ours as humans is storytelling. So why not just write the stories you want to see, write the stories you want to hear, and find ways to put those out into the world, no matter how it is. And the sense of fulfillment and joy from sharing it and having even a small audience is amazing. Just
Because that's
I
what
gotta
people
tell
say,
you.
write what you know.
Write what you know, write what you want to see and hear and play.
Yeah. What you want. I think, yes. Yeah. I wrote a film, a horror screenplay. It's a thriller, not really horror, but it was the idea was I was taking 80s horror films and I was going to have fun with it and write something that I would want to watch. Like, much like what you just said.
It has a lot of comedy in it.
It sprinkles of comedy in it. And then it's the storytelling part of it, right? So I wrote it. Freddie helped me put it up on stage. I created as much of a production on stage as I could. We did a live stream of it. It was a table read, but I had a guy on a piano, like, playing music while they were reading. I had them step forward to the camera, like, on stage. It's not written for that, but we did the most we could with it.
Yeah.
And then I got this wonderful, well, I don't want to say wonderful, but I got a producer that optioned it, right? So
awesome. That's amazing. That's done.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't become
Right.
to past that, they optioned it. That's
but now I'm waiting and and I'll wait until he has it till December. And in the meantime, I'm
looking at where to pitch it next.
there's that. I'm also drawing it up as a graphic novel because I'm like,
Yes.
it still goes back to what you were just saying about being a storyteller. Like, I have to I want this to get out somewhere. I want to share this, because I enjoy it. And if I enjoy it, I'm
really
sure
good.
hot tip. Graphic novels are
Premium
selling
IP.
Premium IP, selling like hotcakes. Like, you want a publisher interested in a book that you wrote, write a graphic novel. Like, agents are searching for graphic novels to pitch to publishers. So hot tip. We can talk about it later.
You just motivated me. Okay, I'll talk to you some more about it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we could do this for another 3 hours.
I could, but you guys are come over and we'll go swimming. Not today.
Even better.
It's too freaking cold.
Yeah,
It's cold.
Yeah.
Totally. But I want to thank both of you, Freddie and Richard, for taking the time, and it's been amazing catching up with you and hearing, for me, learning so much, because I actually didn't know so much of what we talked about today. So yeah.
And
this
that
has
you're
been a
both
real
like,
treat.
you have a film coming out. You have a film optioned right now. Like, all these things are so awesome.
It's so exciting.
Like, I just want to leave people with the note that, like, we sort of started with you guys. Like we were all young when we met, and
Yeah,
like we've
yeah.
all been building these careers. We're
all
still young. We're still
Yeah.
young. So obviously we were babies when we came out, but we have been like following each other, helping each other, seeing each other, visually supporting on the socials, but also like this is it. This is the time. Like it's finally happened for everyone.
Yes,
It's amazing.
It's time to get that paper.
Yeah, we're
Time
gonna
to
make
get
that
that
paper.
Paper.
We're making it.
Thank you so
Make
much,
that
you guys.
Yay.
She showed on Monday, made love on Tuesday. By Wednesday she was down. We fought on Thursday, made up on Friday. But now I'm losing ground. You call me lazy, you think I'm crazy. So why'd you come around? She want my money, but I got no money. This ain't no savings and loans. You call me lazy, you think I'm crazy, so why'd you come around?